Former President Jacob Zuma is expected to arrive at the High Court in Pietermaritzburg this morning amid uncertainty around whether his corruption trial will finally get underway. Zuma and the NPA are locked in counter-accusations of using Stalingrad tactics to delay his corruption case. While Zuma has long maintained that he wants to have his day in court, he's also faced mounting criticism for using various legal avenues to delay the matter. My co-anchor Ayanda Nyathi and our reporter Nkhosikhona Duma are part of the team watching developments for us in Durban this morning. Ayanda, let's begin our coverage with you this hour and ask the question that we've been asking for many, many years. Will the case get underway today?
And I'm afraid I still have the same response we've been getting every time we get to this point, Michelle. It's still anyone's guess. What we know so far, though, is that the NPA has come out to say that they will stop at nothing to ensure that on this day, the 11th of April, we finally have this case get underway. It's been years in the making, dating all the way back to 1995, when former President Jacob Zuma is said to have received about 791 payments amounting to 4.1 million rand. All of this as part of kickbacks, essentially, to see through in 1999's arms deal case, essentially, with the second accused, which is the French arms company Thales. The former president's team, in the form of the foundation, spoke out yesterday about what they believe to be a miscarriage of justice if this case does continue today. Their arguments haven't really changed much. They're still calling on the state prosecutor, Billy Downer, to be removed from the case. They say that he does not have a title to prosecute and have used all kinds of avenues, including the court that we're at now, to try and make sure that the NPA finds at least another prosecutor. But it doesn't end there. They're asking for Billy Downer to be removed, and if they're successful with that bid under provisions in the Criminal Procedure Act, they want him to have an immediate acquittal. How likely is all of this? Let's get you some analysis. But before that, though, let me get you a sense of what the situation is looking like where we're at. We're inside the precinct, if you like, of the High Court of South Africa, the KZN division that's currently sitting in Pietermaritzburg. We know that the former president typically uses a back entrance that my colleague is about to show you in just a moment, my colleague Lungelo. He comes in usually from the back entrance, then he walks through the corridors that already have clear security presence, clear visibility of law enforcement personnel. He then makes his way into what's called a holding room, and then typically from that holding room he's ushered into courtroom A. That's where a lot of the theatrics, if you like, a lot of the action is likely to take place. As a start, the former president's team, after making an announcement yesterday, they say that they want to put together what's considered a reconsideration application, which is going to go directly to the head of the Supreme Court of Appeal. That, of course, we know is Judge President Samaya. It's still unclear how that's likely to feed into what we're going to see today. But again, let's bring you some analysis for you, get you a sense of what else you need to think about on this Monday morning as we count down to the beginning of this trial, or perhaps to another postponement. Mpumelelo Zikalala is our analyst who's hanging out with us as we put together these pieces. So what we also heard from the former president's team yesterday, good to see you again, by the way, is they now going the private route to try and get Billy Downer removed from this case. Do you think this court will give any consideration to that?
It will depend on the type of documentation of evidence that you have provided to this court. This court is going to say, I hear what you say, but I work more often with an affidavit, with something that's been submitted. Do you have a certificate in terms of the Criminal Procedure Act in order to prosecute? Basically giving you title to prosecute a private prosecution, which is a bit ironic, taking into account what this matter or this whole point in this case is about. So that's basically what the court is going to say. I can only deal with substantive matters, things that have been presented to me as a judge in order for me to take a decision. If there's nothing which is available that I can be able to discuss this matter on, I'm using the Criminal Procedure Act to discuss all these things. Section 342, capital 8 are all the reasons in which I'm going to look at. Is this an unreasonable delay? Is this a reasonable one? If it's unreasonable, I'm dismissing your application. Let the first witness go into the witness box. If it is a reasonable delay, then let's look for other days in which we'll then traverse this particular matter. Unfortunately, the witness of the NPA will have to wait in abeyance a bit up until all these issues have been done.
And the witness has been waiting for several times, dare I add. But you mentioned the Criminal Procedure Act. The former president's lawyers are relying on Section 106 of that act to get Billy Downer to be removed from this case. But they are using that piece of legislation to also call for a complete acquittal if they're successful in removing Billy Downer. I mean, there's people who are saying that as a matter of strategy, perhaps that was just going a bit too far.
It may be. The court will be very reluctant to dismiss a matter purely based on technicalities. They would want the merits. Did you do something wrong? Did you do something right? I was supposed to acquit you on the basis of you being really innocent. And there are basically certain instances and safeguards which are included also in the CPA that would allow you to be acquitted if really there's nothing which that you're supposed to be brought to court for. So at the end of the day, some may say maybe in certain legal quarters, it might be a bit pushing it. Maybe the first charge of saying that only one advocate will let down to be removed and it ends there. But for the complete acquittal, it may be that they were pushing it a bit, and that is what forced this particular court to say, no, we're not going to accede to your request. Even if you take it to the SCA, I don't think we're going to be successful. But also, another important thing is that there was not a lot of legal precedents which is there. The only decided case, or one of them which is leading in this case, is the case of Porridge. And certainly that one did not dismiss the whole application on the basis that the prosecutor did not have charge to prosecute. Or especially on that one, it was only limited to administrative procedures. Do you have the title? Has it been signed? Is your conduct to such an extent that you are still within a reasonable prosecutor to be able to prosecute, taking into cognizance the Section 35 rights of the accused? If the answer to that is no, maybe you can be removed and then you'll find somebody else who will be able to stay within your trial. But even in that case, and in all other cases, the court has been very clear. The prosecutor is not your friend. They are never your friend. Of course, they're going to throw accusations at you, and they'll make sure that they are trying to prove the case beyond reasonable doubt in whatever instances.
We had also spent some time trying to ascertain on what basis would there be an expectation for a prosecutor to not be seeing to try and get some kind of conviction. Thanks very much indeed, as always, for helping us better place these developments on this important juncture, dare I add, of this case. The court itself, in the first dismissal that Judge Pietermaritzburg had actually delivered, had always maintained that the former president can always raise whatever objection he has within the trial itself. And it's on that basis that Judge Pietermaritzburg dismissed this application, the special plea to have Billy Downer removed from the case. But that's the action as it's likely to unfold inside the court precinct, inside the court itself. We've done a good job at keeping ourselves dry. I wonder whether Nkhosikhona Duma is as successful considering the weather conditions that we're seeing there. And Nkhosikhona, if you're able to hear us, it goes without saying that the rain that we've seen, the persistent downpours here, at least in KZN, may have a bearing on how many supporters rock up today.
You're absolutely correct, Ayanda. Fortunately, I am keeping myself a bit dry because Newzroom Afrika has provided me with an umbrella. I just want to step out of short here, Ayanda, so that you can see what is happening outside here, outside the court precinct. We were expecting this particular area that my colleague Zuma is showing you to be cordoned off. In fact, there was an advisory that was sent out by the municipality here saying that, this particular road will be closed off ahead of the court appearance of the former President Jacob Zuma, as has happened in the past. But, life is just normal here. People are just going about their days. And I guess the consistent thing that we've been seeing with these court appearances is that, there's been less and less supporters coming to support former President Jacob Zuma. But there are people who won't give up. One of them is Carl Niehaus, who joins me now live. Mr. Niehaus, you are saying that you've never missed a single court appearance of the former president over the past 22 years that he has had to come to court. Talk to us about your expectations for today.
Well, you're quite right. I haven't missed a single court appearance. I was looking at some photos recently. 22 years ago, I didn't have this grey beard. So, yes, it's a long time, and an unacceptably long time. And as you've heard yesterday, President Zuma is very clear that Mr. Billy Downer should be arrested by the South African police. There's a serious case against him. And as you know, there will be an application today for Mr. Downer not to be allowed to continue as the prosecutor, and there will be action from the side, legally from President Zuma's side, as was announced yesterday also during the press conference in Sandton.
Well, the NPA views what you are talking about, the intention to privately prosecute Mr. Downer as another delayed tactic by former President Jacob Zuma. You are saying that the times that he has been coming to court have been unreasonable. So why another delayed tactic then?
There's no delay tactic. We have got real legal issues that have to be addressed. We've got real concerns about the way in which the NPA has conducted themselves. I have maintained over the 22 years, as you've said, I've been here for 22 years, that there's been political manipulation of this case right from the beginning, and Mr. Downer has been at the center, at the heart of that political manipulation throughout.
Mr. Niehaus, it appears that even the police have have reduced the amount of security that they would usually apply in this particular case. Life is going on as normal here in Pietermaritzburg on the streets. In the past, there would be hardly any movement because this area would be swamped by thousands of supporters of former President Jacob Zuma. You are here. Who else can we expect? To understand it's only a handful of people.
You asked me this question the previous time too, and my answer was that President Zuma's support is still exactly the same. President Zuma remains the most popular politician in South Africa. But we are living under difficult circumstances. Many of our people don't have money also because of the mismanagement of the Ramaphosa government and what happened in terms of the downturn in our economy. So people are watching what is happening on television. Many people phoned me and told me that they would have loved to have been here, but they are unable to do so. So don't interpret the absence of large crowds of supporters as if President Zuma has lost any support. I can assure you he hasn't. Last night, you saw the outcome of the elections with the regional election of the ANC in eThekwini. And Mam Zandile won with a resounding majority. It is raining today. It is a blessing in our culture. That indication of Comrade Gumede's victory and also the support that we are seeing for radical economic transformation as the economic policy program of the ANC in many regions and provincial conferences indicate that there's an incredible support for what President Zuma has been standing for as the champion of radical economic transformation throughout. And we are going to see this year a sea change. There is a huge and fundamental change that is happening in South Africa, and we are going to see in the African National Congress a return to the revolutionary heart of the ANC. Yesterday was an absolute important watershed moment in this year. What happened at eThekwini is an indication of what is going to happen throughout the country. And I'm clear, I've said before, President Ramaphosa must go. I maintain still that he has to go. And yesterday evening's outcome was a clear indication that we're on the right route to return the ANC to the people of South Africa, to return the ANC to be a true revolutionary movement, serving our people and bringing full liberation, including also economic liberation.
Well, Mr. Niehaus, that's all the time we have for now. Well, Ayanda, I will tell you that Mr. Niehaus has just credited the victory of Zandile Gumede as the regional chairperson of the ANC in eThekwini to former President Jacob Zuma. It's going to be interesting engaging him further, but how exactly that occurred, we are not taking it as a matter of fact at this point. But back to you for now.
Yeah, politics certainly not too far from the legal issues that are likely to unfold even here. So there we have it. I mean, 1 count of racketeering, 1 of money laundering, 2 of corruption, and 12 of fraud. Despite the many times that we found ourselves at this point of these particular issues, it still remains to be seen whether or not the trial will finally get underway. Michelle?
Absolutely. Ayanda Nyathi, my co-anchor, and our reporter Nkhosikhona Duma, thanks very much indeed for that update ahead of that court appearance at the High Court in Pietermaritzburg.